It is. And today, this morning, I got the question about dental restoration materials like amalgam containing mercury. And again, that's a very interesting story. And it seems to be that, for instance, computer screens as well as cell phones will increase the leakage of different metals, including mercury from these dental restoration materials. And when they start to circling your body, then you can have real intoxications, actually. And here in Sweden, it has been calculated that approximately 1/3 of the electrohypersensitive people also have problems with these mercury-containing fillings. And when it comes to multiple chemical sensitivity, it could be the same group. No one really knows, but it's in the order of at least 1/3 also. So there is a big overlap. And some colleagues to me say that there is maybe 50-60% overlap. And that's from the monitoring we are doing today, which is very little, actually. So maybe there would be a total overlap if we really would stick our noses into this question.
So I work with biological dentists, and I had my own mercury fillings removed as well. I still have metal in my mouth, though, and again, when I've got bad exposures, my whole jaw is sore. It goes into severe pain. So it's very interesting. So, and this is something we can maybe explore at some point. In my mind, my logic tells me that toxicity is, if you ask me what's the common denominator with everybody with multiple chemical sensitivities and EHS, is toxicity. And it's not one type of toxicity. It could be anything. Like in my case, when I was overdosed with altroxin, which is a thyroid hormone, that level of toxicity pushed me over the edge. For somebody else, it might be their mercury fillings. And I just want to categorically say, don't have your mercury fillings removed by a normal dentist. Go and see a biological dentist who will do it safely. Otherwise, you get a massive exposure in your body. You know, and it could be whatever. It could be a chemical exposure in a plant. It could be that you're driving every day and you're just inhaling exhaust fumes. But toxicity for me is the common denominator.
Yeah. And you know, this goes back to here in Sweden, we had two scientists. Their name was Högstedt and Örtendahl, and they made a fantastic study. They took fillings and put them in racks on a table, just as a model experiment. And then they put different types of computer screens in front of them and turned them on, measuring the leakage of mercury from these fillings. And when they were turned on, it increased quite a lot, actually. And also it was dependent on the type of screen, if it was from IBM or Apple or some other manufacturer. And now I don't remember exactly which one that was the worst and which one was the least bad. But people had said before, and no one believed them, that they could work, for instance, in front of computer screen A, but not B. And people said, no, they are the same, you know. But they are not. From this mercury extraction point of view, they were very different. And then I remember I talked to Högstedt and Örtendahl, and I said, what about if we take these fillings and actually put them into the mouth of a human being? Would you see the same difference? Oh, most likely, they said. We haven't done that test because it's practically not so easy to do it, but that will be a very interesting study. And I know later on a group in Iran, they did a study recording the leakage of mercury from dental restoration materials during exposure to cell phones, again, showing that, yes, you got an extra increased leakage. And now we are talking about things that you can see. You can open the mouth and look at the person, But what about all the stuff that you have in your body? As you say, you have metals because of different interventions, and they're basically everywhere. When they do X-ray analysis, looking for mercury, for instance, from dental material, you find them basically everywhere, especially in the brain, for instance. So there is all reason to think twice about the exposure from a chemical point of view. And coming back to electron hypersensitivity, it's a very common story that people would relate to that, for instance, they used a lot of insecticides or pesticides during one or several days, after which they became electron hypersensitive. Or they used some special chemical in the household and they became electron hypersensitive. So there is a lot here to be investigated. But as I indicated before, for each paper we published, the opposition grew harder and harder and harder. And the real turning point, I would say, that was the study when we exposed human beings double blindly to cell phones. And we got a very interesting hit, after which we practically couldn't get any funding any longer. That was a real pity, because we planned very many detailed studies, but we could never do it, actually.